Well, yes, it's a very common problem among photographers and something I keep hearing every now and then. The images are not coming out tack sharp. The images are soft, they lack detail, the color is not proper. Well, let's sort that out for you once and for all. Now, there can be multiple reasons behind this issue, but today I'm going to tell you the three main ones. If you're facing this issue, watch this video, go out, and this time don't make these three mistakes that I'm going to tell you. Check the quality of your images and tell me if you still face that issue. But I can assure you, 90% of the problems are because of three main reasons, and fixing them would give you much better results. The first one is shooting on unnecessarily high levels of ISO. See, when the light is low, we do have to bump up the ISO to click the image. However, multiple times the ambient light is so good, but we want to keep our ISO on a little higher side just for our self-satisfaction. Assuming that in case this bird flies or just in case this animal runs, the camera might need more shutter speed to get the action freeze. Well, it's good to foresee, but in some cases it can mess up the image a great deal. Next time when you're bumping up the ISO, ask yourself, do you even need that kind of a shutter speed in that moment? Let's say you're clicking a portrait of a bird. You don't need a 1 by 4000 or a 1 by 2000 or rather even by a 1 by 1000 for that matter. Reduce your ISO, shoot it on a relatively slow shutter, and once you get a couple of clean portraits, increase the ISO again. You can bump up the ISO if you think or foresee that the bird might fly in the future anytime soon. But later in post, pick the images that you've clicked on a lower level of ISO and you're good to go. The next one is using incorrect aperture settings. I'm sure by now you know that lower the f number, wider is the aperture and shallower is the depth of field. And bigger the f number, narrow is the aperture and deeper is the depth of field. Now at times we develop a habit of shooting everything on lower f numbers to get all that light in our sensor as much as possible. Next time when you're shooting a bigger subject, make sure you increase your f number. If you're shooting a huge elephant on f2.8, high chances are that the body would go blur. Or let's say if a tiger is walking towards you and you're using f2.8, the area where you focus and the area closer to the area where you focus, the focusing plane will be okay. It will be sharp. But high chances are that the area far from the focusing plane would not be as sharp because of the shallow depth of field. So when you're in the field, think before you shoot. Do you need f2.8 in that situation or is f4 or f5.6 ideal? You know, I shot a peacock on f9 once and you can see the result. Look at the details on the feathers, look at the colors, look at the sharpness and crispness of the image. And the third one is perhaps your shutter speed is messed up. Now pay attention. Either you're facing the issue of camera shake or it's motion blur. Camera shake is highly possible when you're using big lenses because they are relatively heavy. In such cases, make sure that your shutter speed is at least 1 by focal length into 2. If the light permits, increase it further. But if you plan to go below 1 by focal length into 2, then start adding some kind of an external support. You can use a tripod or a monopod or a bean bag or some sort of support because below 1 by focal length into 2, chances of camera shake might increase in case you're using handheld and that too with a relatively heavy lens. Now this is a 300mm, it's not like it's a heavy lens in itself or something. Telephotos, because of the size, are usually on a heavier side as compared to wide angles or let's say a 50mm or something. So they need some kind of external support. And personally for me, I usually shoot on a bean bag or on a tripod. I am not a big fan of shooting handheld anymore. If it's motion blur, understand how fast moving your subject is. Pay a closer look at the subject and foresee. Different subjects move at different shutter speeds. For a walking elephant, the requirement of shutter speed would be way less than a flying kingfisher. So study your subject. Take a couple of test shots and learn from your mistakes. Keep a shutter of about 1 by 2000 if you're freezing birds in flight. If the light is sufficient, increase it further because why not? For mammals, relatively slow shutter speeds can also work. But try and maintain it on 1 by 400 to 1 by 500 and above to be on a safer side. Now go and use these tips, and if they help, you need to let me know in the comments below. If they don't, no worries. I'm coming up with another video detailing other reasons behind unsharp and unclear images. Stay tuned for that and don't forget to subscribe.